Hey there guys, it's Nolan and Jason here with Roofing Webmasters.
Howdy.
Gonna talk about, do city pages work for roofing or not? So
Of course they do.
Yeah, they work.
That was a short one.
I was gonna say, by the way, there's a study on people who still write with pen and paper, because I thought about it. People would expect me to have everything on my brand new iPhone 13.
Humble brag.
Right. No, I've never really. I was on Android until, what, a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And I got the cheapest iPhone 11 that I could, and then so I went back. Oh, look at you.
My bad. I normally remember to
I
silence
quit
that.
turning off my phone. That's Jason's, but I quit turning mine off during these because I'll forget to turn it back on.
Yeah.
And then lose messages. But anyway, there is something, and actually, I'll try when I teach people on like sales, I tell them not to type, because for me it's a suspension of disbelief issue. Like I like to write stuff down in tactile and all that, instead of like it. To me, when it goes on the phone, it gets hidden, and I don't see it anymore. And I like to have paper up all over my desk, and I still have, of course, tons of digital information. But if people are hearing me on a sales call and they hear tut, 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 it's like I'm entering your information, or you're bothering me. Oh, I'm sorry, just relax. I'm entering everything you tell me, So I'll write everything down, and I still have that indention in my middle finger. It's been there forever in a little callus.
I'm all digital. I write almost nothing.
He henpecks everything.
I do,
Yeah.
because I'm old enough that I don't know how to type properly.
I'm old enough that I do know how to type properly. I'm sorry, they had typing class in high school, and I took it because it's a blow-off my senior year instead of AP classes. Yeah.
I did art classes for blow-off.
All right, so that's my deal on why you see me with pen and paper here. But first off, I want to talk about one of the biggest client mistakes we ever saw. So back...
I think I know what you're going to talk about.
Yeah, I think you do too. It was one of the biggest mistakes ever. So back 5 years ago, you could have put up, depending on the category.
Yeah.
So if Google didn't have enough information for the category, they accepted city pages in droves.
Wild West, you could put up, we literally put up a whole state worth.
So we did.
The state of Texas.
The state of Texas, on a roofer that did foam roofing.
Right.
So a foam roofer, and until about a year ago, it wasn't even a year ago. It was like 9 or 10 months ago.
Yeah, it was during. It was in the past.
2020.
Yeah, 2020.
I don't mind dating this
The bad
thing.
year.
It's going to be dated.
I don't
anyway.
like saying 2020. If I
don't
can help
either.
it.
It's not a bad word. It is a bad.
But it's a bad year.
It was a bad
invokes
year.
Bad things.
So what's interesting, and what I think happened with this particular client, when it comes to it, is that there was a foam roofing shortage, and there still is today.
Yeah.
So they had every city in Texas, which was about 1,500 cities roughly that we had. People probably don't know, but there's 20 to 23, 24,000 cities, and it changes all the time.
Right.
So there's over 20,000 cities in the United States, and people still type in their cities all the time. And especially in these small towns, that's the only way to get information on Google.
And these guys, if you said foam roofing and insert Texas City here,
number one,
they were number one for everything.
90+% of the time.
Right.
Maybe only not number one, they'd be like number 3 in Dallas or number 6
Yeah,
in
in
Houston.
some of the major metroplexes.
But
they
all
might have
suburbs.
gone down a little bit, but yeah.
It was crazy. It was crazy. And they were grandfathered in. So this is what's interesting about this category. They obviously work really well, and we're going to get into that a little bit more on how many pages can you have, how do you get them to work better, and why they work. But they were grandfathered on obscure categories. Now they've come in and hammered some of these since then. We have a client that got hit on some of them.
Yeah.
But these guys were grandfathered, and the more obscure the category, like for example, like people don't even know that we do this here. So they'll say, hey, we want our 20 city pages, which is what we do today.
Yeah,
on a
generally,
on a brand new account, we'll do up to 20 city pages. They work fantastically if they're done properly. And on those city pages, if it's a major metropolitan area where even all the suburbs have a lot of people, like DFW or Houston or somewhere like that, we'll go for a keyword on there that isn't as competitive on the city page, like roof replacement instead of roofer, or TPO roofing if it's commercial.
Right.
Stuff like that. So nowadays, I already said that we do about 20 pages because about 2 years ago, I think,
A little over.
we were putting up like still 50, 60, 70, 80 cities because
It had been working for so long that we were like, every city in your area, boom, do it.
boom. Well, that was about 3 years ago that we stopped doing that, but we cut it to about 50 or 60.
Yeah.
And so in Dallas-Fort Worth, for example, someone will say, we worked everywhere. We worked the whole area. I was like, well, you know, you work anywhere and you want hailstorm bleeds and all that. We get that. But we can't do more than about 50 or 60.
Yeah.
And so about a year and a half ago, this was the guy out of Atlanta that I'm referring to. We put up about, he was the aggressive guy.
I know what you're talking about. I get it from the tone of voice.
Sorry, I can't explain the inside nature of that. Anyway, very successful client who, by the way, has verbally told me that he nets well over $1 million off of our effort within the first 6 months.
He's told us that. He's told us that his phone rings 20 times a day.
20 plus times per day.
Off our efforts.
Correct.
And that's his words, not ours.
We put in about 60, 70 city pages, and Google spidered them or crawled them, however you have heard it, and they did not cache them or copy them.
Right.
And you can explain that technically. I know I can explain it, but explain what that means. Why?
It means that they know they're there and they may show them, but they're not favoring them, holding them in their database.
So that's different than Jason would know better than me on this, but I thought it meant that if they didn't cache or copy them, because if you take that page URL and put it in quotes and try to search on Google, it doesn't exist. I thought that it meant it doesn't exist and they did not put it on the servers.
It kind of depends.
Okay.
It's one of those things of if you get a query in there that they don't have anything else, they might have a reference saying, hey, we had this page that maybe we should show for that.
We have it, but this isn't
But we don't like it all that much. And
So they work, but they're not taking as many is the whole point here.
Right.
They still work fantastically. That same guy that didn't have them cached or copied on all of them, we pared it down to about 25, and now they're all cached and copied.
Yeah, now they are the preferred.
And that happened.
Yeah, they're kind of in the preferred stack.
So it's what are we in November 2022? Mm-hmm. That happened.
2021.
21.
You're trying to take it a year.
21. 21. I'm sorry, November 2021.
I said yes, and I was wait a minute, no.
I don't know, man. We're all ready just to get, to leapfrog forward and get out of all this. But so about a year and a half ago is when this happened, early on in 2020, right?
Right.
And so we started doing no more than 20 city pages. Now, I want to say that people will say, oh, no, Nolan, I know people that have way more than that. And yes, like the people that were grandfathered, the reason I didn't finish that story, they canceled the site.
Right.
And lost all of it. Lost all those city pages that were grandfathered. There's no way they could put those up again. They would not cache or copy them.
Yeah, the client he was talking, the foam roofing client he was mentioning earlier, they canceled for reasons even they couldn't really explain to us.
They got sold something. Someone in their board of directors, which they didn't have a board when they started with us because they went from one location in Texas to 5. And a board of directors.
Yeah.
Foam roofing across Texas.
Yeah, everywhere.
Everyone's dream. I'm going to take over Texas, and they did.
And then
with our help.
Screwed it up.
They don't realize they screwed it up. You know why?
Because there's still a shortage.
Because there's still a shortage of foam roofing.
They haven't had to turn down jobs based on the shortage yet.
Correct.
Yeah, they will.
Correct.
In the coming year.
They probably think that they've had
get cleared up.
They probably think that they've had a lack of calls because of COVID, when in fact all roofing had gone nutso, and there would have been more calls. But they haven't actually dealt with it from a financial standpoint because they can't get foam roofing.
Right.
It's a whole mess.
Anyway.
But anyway, that's a different. So here's
their site went down, and if we took that exact site,
correct.
They did so well before. Like if they called us tomorrow and said we want to put it all back, it would be like. We can put it back up, but it's not going to work the same.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, is there a chance to get more than 20 city pages? There is, but let's talk about user experience and
Right.
Google's wanting to please the user. The reason Jason was saying they might actually have it cached or copied but don't show it is because ultimately it's just a poor user experience.
Right.
So if somebody goes to a website that has 20 service pages or 10, let's say, because they won't have 20, we'll do 20, but somebody will have like 3, 4, 5, 10,
Right.
and then they put up 100 city pages. Is that a good website or user experience? No, it's just a bunch of city pages up that somebody tried to show. City pages can be really relevant. And let's talk about how if it was an obscure category, you could stretch the 20 to 40 maybe and still get it to show up. If you had been up for a while and wanted to kind of put up another 5 or 10, that might work. And let's talk about hardcore validation of a city page, and I think you know where I'm headed with this. So Data Pens is software that we pioneered. If you listen to us much, you've heard us talk about it, but just 30 seconds on it. It's software that is a web-based app on the phone or desktop. Take up to 6 photos of a job on your phone. You can tag those, write a caption, and put in the client's cell phone and hit pin. And when that happens, and back up and pick the 2 pages on the site you want it to go on.
Yeah.
Which would be the service page
and the city page.
And the city page. Now this is where the city pages get really interesting. So now you've got a digital hand raised with the geo coordinates. Hey, we were here, and you tagged your roof replacement page and your Conroe page or your Woodlands page. So you're in Houston. Your shop is in North Houston, but you did a job in Conroe.
Right.
And in Conroe, I use this example all the time. You typed in roof replacement with GAF HD timberline shingles. So Google looks at it and says, "Oh, well, that's cool. He has a city page. So
does everybody.
So does maybe 400 other roofers here."
Yeah.
But this
one every roofer in Houston would love to do all their work in Conroe, where all that new development.
Conroe, the Woodlands. Yeah, I think. If I was in Houston, I'd take Houston proper because it's just it's one of the largest landmass cities in the U.S.
Yeah,
It's just such a huge. Harris County is like.
I didn't mean they want to exclude Houston, but they want a piece of all that new stuff.
They do, I guess. Yeah. But so those the digital hand raise comes in, and you think about a city page. Let's say there's 500 Conroe city pages in Houston from different roofers. None of them ever change. Never get any content updates. Most of them are duplicate content completely.
Yeah.
So now a guy's raising a hand saying, "I was over in Conroe. Hey," and they go, "What? You validated a page of content? Well, that's never even really happened before. That's crazy. We usually just have to trust that the page on the site corresponds with your service, but we never get validation."
And the most validation they usually get is, "Oh, his address is slightly closer to Conroe. Okay, show him."
Right.
But and this validates it. Also, you mentioned it just then that it's duplicate content. Is all those pins on the page make the page unique?
Correct. Yeah, I was going to say.
'Cause that solves another big problem with city pages. Is they're usually even when you have somebody that rewrites every city page, they still say the same thing, just a different way.
Correct.
And this is that becomes highly unique content on each city page.
Technical content from the user, the owner, the technician, the salesperson that knows the product, material, brands, and services and repairs. And when they start talking about stuff like GAF, Google didn't know you even worked with GAF shingles. And if somebody maybe typed in that exact thing, somebody would say, "Well, Nolan, why would that matter?" Because some guy's got a bid from another competitor, and he types in GAF HD timberline shingle, Conroe or Houston. You're the only guy that's ever even talked about it.
That's ever said that, yeah.
That's ever even said that. So now you take a page of content that's about roofing repair, replacement in Conroe, the city page, and you start updating all this content and expanding the hell out of long tail keywords, and it actually shows up for a bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
Everybody's dying to have these city pages because you don't know where Houston's maybe not the best town for hail, but you don't know where the hail's going to hit. You don't know where the hurricane's going to hit. And you want some representation because your Google business profile, I got GBP, Sorry, it's 72 hours ago. Google
changed the name from Google My Business to Google Business
GMB Profile. Rolled off the tongue a lot easier than
GBP.
Google GBP. I got to get used to it.
GBP, yeah.
GBP. Google Business Profile. That's your map, and you could be in what is it? I don't know, Pearland, but the storm hit Conroe or hit Baytown or whatever. And so you have representation that you wouldn't otherwise have.
Right.
And the DataPens does a lot of other stuff, but I don't want to go into all that for this purpose. It's a digital hand raised there on the page. It's the photos which count as unique content, and it's the technical hopeful caption that someone expanded, something like a roof leak repaired around chimney flashing, or replaced Owens Corning shingles with certainteed, and it could just go on and on.
Yeah, and all of a sudden you're taking what is kind of semi-spammy content, and suddenly it becomes highly unique, highly relevant, and before you know it, you're in the Map 3 pack, you're the GBP sidebar, and you're number 1 or 2 on organic.
It's hyper focused, and it's really music to Google's ears.
Yeah,
you'd be the only guy in town just about doing this on a properly set up web page with a properly set up city page and service page, and not to mention this is going to the service page too. But we're talking about cities here, and if they're relevant, they're not only relevant. It's the majority of search if done properly.
Right.
I don't know how to say this to where people don't think there's something wrong with me saying this, because they're wrong in what they think, but they think, because we did the report, we studied our own accounts, right, the other day about usage of keyword clicks that go to the page, and let's just be real specific, like organic keyword ranking, pack 3. Everybody knows those, that everybody wants up there.
Right.
Those 3, and then you can click on it and see more maps. But it's the pack 3, and then there's 10 underneath it, have been for 15, 20 years, right? 10 show up underneath it. That's the organic that was the original free service for Google to the user.
Right.
They find the number 1, 2, 3. So those 10 organic absolutely will bring in more clicks than anything else if you expound and use pages and signaling and keyword content properly.
Correct.
And everybody misses it and goes just for mapping, and in missing the organic, you screw up the mapping anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Without the organic, you won't show up in maps.
You won't show up in the map anyway.
Right.
So that I got off a little bit there. The map isn't going to just magically appear based upon the city page, guys.
Right. Right.
This is the organic under the map. Will it help with the digital hand raise the map? Yes, but that's a different podcast and a different discussion. So anyway, city pages are very, very profitable, can work very well. And if you do them with high-end SEO services like what we have in our other company that has DataPens, they're fabulous. And it's really some of the most overlooked stuff there is.
Right, yeah.
I'll say one more thing about the organic stuff on city pages. I don't know how long we've been going here, but there's all this propaganda out, marketing about funneling and SEO's dead. And the only reason that's out is because SEO's hard.
Yeah. It's a lot easier to sign you up for Google ads, take a percentage of your ad spend, and then say, hey, we put up a budget of $5,000 a month ad spend. You got this many clicks. Look how great that is. And it's easy.
Stick you in a program. Go, so what we're going to do is funnel it and stick tons of leads in the top, which you're going to pay for until you bleed. And then a couple are going to come out the end of the funnel. You know how the funnels are real small at the end. They're going to come out the end, and it's going to be super. We're going to make landing pages and funneling and drip emails. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of that stuff. The only reason people sell that is because they can't do anything else. So they hook you up to automated crud, ignore all this other stuff. We do all that too.
And by the way, it is automated.
It is automated crud. It's software programs they buy. They might get to white label their name on it.
Right.
And then there's all this stuff everywhere. Do this, do that, do mapping and funnel this and funnel it and get emails off of Facebook, and it's just some of it I don't like for a roofer at all.
Yeah.
But that's what's being sold. And the biggest thing out there still is Google, and the organic is still the vast majority of search, meaning a non-paid item on Google. And people should do everything they can to get everything they can up there. And City Pages is a hunk of it.
Dollar for dollar, organic outperforms PPC
Everything.
by a couple of orders of magnitude.
People won't believe it in roofing, but it outperforms door knocking.
Absolutely.
Dollar for
yes.
dollar, it outperforms door knocking. Everybody, no, hired a non-owned auto. Your van you had to pick up, your manager that you had to manage the door knockers with. I think door knocking is brilliant, but organic optimization is much less expensive than door knocking.
Yeah.
There's no way you can corral those human beings for less than $1,000 a month.
And that's not even taking into account print costs and everything else you got to do.
There's so much stuff, man. You're going to get an early heart attack from dealing with those people. I mean, what about your health benefits? Anyway. All right. I'm spent on that topic, but yeah, love.
Yes, they work if done right.
Yeah. Good stuff. We'll see you on the next one.
Take it easy.